Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to week 2 of our English 101 class. I am so pleased with the work you've done already. Your diagnostic essays are looking really good. I should have those all graded and back to you by the end of the week with feedback, so you've got a really good idea of your foundation and where we're going to go from here. So really excellent work. And it was great to get to know you a little bit through your discussion boards, get to know some of your interests, some of your background, some of your hopes for this class. A lot of great directions we can go with our writing as we go through this quarter. Now, at the start of every week, I'm going to walk you through what we're doing, which you're welcome. So I'll try and keep these videos short. They should be under 10 minutes. If they're not, oops. But they should be under 10 minutes. I do enjoy the sound of my own voice, as you can probably tell from some of my lectures. But I will try to keep these very short because I know your time is very valuable. So this week, we are going to be jumping in with our Project 1. And so all of our big essays in the class are grouped as projects. And project is just a nice overarching term that we can put the essay and all of the scaffolding work and all the assignments and reading and homework, all that goes into this one project folder. So everything you need is in one nice spot. So our first project is Project 1. It revolves around Agatha Christie's novel Murder on the Orient Express. And we're going to be writing an analytical essay looking at some of the major themes in this novel that's based on a true crime story. And we're going to be looking at these bigger ideas of revenge and justice. How do we quantify these? How do we understand these? How might they apply in real life? And what kind of moral ambiguity and boundaries are we dealing with here? So lots of very fun, interesting ways of looking at the book and looking at the world around us in maybe a different way as we approach this essay. So to kick off all that fun that we're so excited to engage with, we're going to be watching some recorded lectures, and I've got all those for you in the modules tab, and I'll show you in just a minute. So you're going to be watching the recorded lecture Murder, Not Muck Duck. For those of you who like the TV show The Office, you might recognize some references in this PowerPoint. The character of Dwight has this quote that he says in The Office, and it always makes me crack up. So that's why it's the title of this PowerPoint. And then you are going to be answering some questions about your reading over the weekend. Over the weekend, you got to read Murder on the Orient Express, chapters 1 through 5. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It's off to a good start. The mystery is developing. And there's some really cool characters you're going to get to know. I may gush a little bit about how awesome this is in Murder, Not Muck Duck. I do want to give us the caveat that the book is significantly different than the 2 movie versions that have been made of it. So if you want to watch the movie versions, awesome. They're entertaining and super fun. However, there are some major critical differences between the book and both movie versions. So we're all amazing students. None of us would ever be like, oh, I'm just going to watch the movie, because you guys are awesome and you love reading and you're just going to do everything super well. But in case like that flitted across the brain at any point, don't do it, because it's very obvious when folks do it, because the movies are very different than the book. That being said, though, they are wildly entertaining. So if you want to watch the movies, go for it. Just also make sure you read the book. On Tuesday, we get to watch a recorded lecture on the Lindbergh tragedy. This is the real-life murder mystery case that inspired Agatha Christie to write Murder on the Orient Express. Charles Lindbergh was a very famous aviator. He flew airplanes and did a lot of stuff with airplanes before anyone else in the world in history had done it. So very famous, very rich, married a very famous rich woman. They were like the Kardashians of the time. Like, everyone knew what was going on with the Lindberghs. They were very famous. They knew everyone. They had their fingers in a lot of pies. But their 2-year-old son was kidnapped and was later found murdered. And to this day, there is still really no resolution to the case, or at least not a satisfying one. Like, they found someone, they killed him, but the case against the guy they caught was pretty shady. For example, a ladder was used to kidnap the child, and they found wood in the guy's house that could have been used to build a ladder. But the guy's job was a ladder maker. Like, he was a carpenter. So, like, suspicious, a little bit, maybe like a reach in order to make connections there. Like, so some of the evidence was pretty shady. You'll find out more about that in this lecture. Very interesting stuff. You could see how it might spark inspiration for a murder mystery writer who didn't get a real life resolution, so she wanted to write one in her fiction that was a little bit more satisfying than just the we don't know what happened sort of thing. And then on Wednesday, you're going to watch some more recorded lectures. Not every week is this lecture heavy, but as we're getting started, I just want to give us a lot of really good background. So on Wednesday, you're going to be watching Close Reading Strategies Parts 1 and 2. That makes it sound like it's excessively long, but my video recording software caps us at 15 minutes. So the first video is 15 minutes. The second video is like 5 minutes. So it's really not all that terribly long. And then you're going to be answering some questions about how justice is different than revenge. And this is just based on your own understanding and experience. I want to see kind of how you understand these terms, how you interact with them, how you might see them played out in real life, because they are terms that our characters in the novel are going to deal with and struggle with mightily as we get toward the end of the book. And then on Thursday, you're going to watch one more recorded lecture. This one is shorter, and it's on murder mystery tropes. And a trope is a reoccurring thing that happens in books, oftentimes. So it's a plot point that happens a lot. Just like maybe in a literature class you've heard about archetypes, which are characters that reoccur. So like every book has a hero and a villain, and probably a wise old man or woman who helps the hero, and probably a sidekick, and probably some comedic relief. You know, like these kind of characters we see pop up over and over and over. A trope is like a plot point that pops up over and over. So Agatha Christie was so good at writing murder mysteries that everyone who wrote murder mysteries after her pretty much copies what she does. And so this kind of walks you through some of those plot points that everyone else is now copying and using because Agatha Christie did it first, because she's just that cool. And then you're going to be continuing your reading of Murder on the Orient Express throughout the week. Hopefully you guys are enjoying that reading. If you're not big readers, you can also access audiobooks, probably through your local library or through Audible or some kind of software like that. I know that there are a couple different versions going around. I think there's one by Dan Stevens. I think he's the reader, but that's just really, really good because he's a great voice actor. So you can always read ahead if you wish. The readings here are to make sure you're staying on track and you're able to complete assignments correctly. But if you want to read ahead, please, 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 feel free. Go for it. Just don't spoil the ending for everyone else. And then I want to show you, if you're not familiar with the Canvas calendar, it does some really cool stuff. You can access our class like just directly through it, which is lovely. And if you want to find what you need to be successful here, you just go into the modules. Here's all our e-tutoring stuff in case you need it. Here's the folder for diagnostic essay. We did that. We're done, so we can minimize it. Everything you're going to need to be successful in Project 1 is collected for you here in this folder. So here's the Murder Not Muck Duck PowerPoint. Here's the recorded lecture. There's a video clip from Drunk History, which is the TV show on Comedy Central that is hilarious. They find a historical expert, someone who knows everything about this historical event, and they get them very drunk. And then they make them tell everything that they know about the historical event. And then they hire actors to act out the drunk person's story. And it's even better than you could imagine. Like, it's very fabulous. So that clip's for you here. It's a little bit of historical context for Agatha Christie herself. Her real life had several very interesting mysteries, in addition to the mysteries that she wrote. Here's the literary analysis and close reading strategies, parts 1 and 2. I talked about both videos for you here. Murder mystery tropes. We're going to be getting into symbolism and historical context for Murder on the Orient Express next week. And here's the Lindbergh tragedy info. So everything you need contextually to set up our framework for this essay is here. You can also see, we're not getting into it this week, but next week we're going to get into some of the supporting materials, some vocabulary and French language guide. If you're reading through Murder on the Orient Express and you want to know what the French words mean, here it is for you. Some articles we'll be reading next week. And then if you like to look ahead and see how the essays go, I've got everything you need here to set up those essays for success. So you got all the tools you need to be successful here. Just make sure you're going to these module folders to get everything you need. And then if you have questions, reach out because I'm here to help. A caveat about the questions for the diagnostic essay, a lot of folks had questions, but they waited until like 10:30 p.m. the night the essay was due at midnight. An hour and a half is not enough time for me to get back to everyone and help everyone out, especially because I have 2 toddlers who are amazing and wonderful, but also exhausting. So I go to bed early. So I'm not seeing your emails at 10:30 p.m. on the night something's due at midnight. I just don't have time to, there's not enough time for me to help you well in that situation. So if you have questions, please look ahead at the assignments, look ahead at your work. Ideally, give me 24 hours so that if we need to follow up with other questions or if we need to schedule a Zoom session or something like that, we can do that. Please at least 12 hours though, before assignments due, because otherwise I just might not be able to help you. I do check my messages like 2 times a day during the week. The weekend is set aside for my family, so I check it much less frequently. So if you send an email over the weekend, chances are you'll get a response Sunday night or Monday morning. So plan ahead. Make sure to keep that in mind as you're sending out your messages, but I really am here to help. I'm here to support your academic journey, and I'm so excited for where we're going in this class. So have a great week, guys. Hang in there and enjoy reading the novel.